Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And Assalamu alaikum, everybody. And thank you so much for joining in today. We are very happy to welcome you to the Student Appreciation Ceremony of 2021. My name is Sabika Shaban. I am the Academic Journals and Publications Specialist at the College of Islamic Studies in Hamad bin Khalifa University, and I'm happy to be the moderator today. Before we get started, we do have a housekeeping note. So all attendees do have their video feeds off and their mics muted, but the chat is open for exchanging cheers and sharing any messages with the CIS community. Now, we will begin our event by welcoming Omar Ibrahim Belatli, who will be sharing with us some verses from the Holy Quran in this beautiful month of Ramadan. Omar, who hails as an imam from Morocco, holds a bachelor's degree in Sharia and law and is graduating this year with a master's degree in Islamic studies with a specialization in contemporary fiqh. He completed his thesis on the negation of paternity through genetic fingerprinting and its impact in contemporary societies. Congratulations, Omar, and the floor is yours.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله نور السماوات والأرض. الله نور السماوات والأرض. مثل نوره كمشكاة فيها مصباح. المصباح في زجاجة. الزجاجة كأنها كوكب دري يوقد. الزجاجة كأنها كوكب دري يوقد من شجرة مباركة زيتونة لا شرقية ولا غربية. زيتونة لا شرقية ولا غربية يكاد زيتها يضيء ولو لم تمسسه نار. نور على نور. يهدي الله لنوره من يشاء ويضرب الله الأمثال للناس. ويضرب الله الأمثال للناس والله بكل شيء عليم. ويضرب الله الأمثال للناس والله بكل شيء عليم. صدق الله العظيم.
MashaAllah, thank you so very much I would like to request our Dean, Dr. Islamic Shaheen, to please take the virtual floor for the Dean's address.
Thank you, Sabi. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon to all. I'm exceptionally delighted to be addressing our students, faculty, staff, and our distinguished guest today. This time of the year makes me immensely proud to see the collective achievements of our students and our graduates, and look back at all that has been done over the academic year. You have undergone a rigorous academic experience, developed projects, ideas, and theses, and found new ways of engaging academically and socially. We are indeed living a period of discovery in which you are discovering new ways of doing things, new ways of thinking, and new understandings of our own capacities. I hope this past year has been as illuminating for you as it has been for me. We started off the academic year in fall with a lot of hopes in mind. We hope for virtual classes to gradually shift on site, but it couldn't happen. The world is still in chaos, and yet, despite it, you preserve. We hoped for an active physical campus life again, with our students mingling and exchanging ideas in libraries, hallways, and faculty offices. Yet, you managed to find a way to bring the campus to a virtual space and build other ways to connect and engage with peers. We hoped for graduation to take place in our traditional and much anticipated setting, in a grand auditorium with families and loved ones. The circumstances remain unconducive, and yet we find ways to celebrate. If there is one thing that we have realized even more intimately in the past year, is that time is uncertain and limited, and we must take every opportunity to celebrate our achievements and share joy where we can. To the class of 2021, today we celebrate nearly 50 graduates, each who has developed his or her own area of interest during this time at CIS, and now hopes to continue its activation through initiatives and projects, application in their careers, and further research and study. I would like to highlight that your journey at HBKU has not ended. As your alma mater, we are keen to continue our connection, explore joint projects, and engage in critical dialogue and action. We continue to remain connected through the years, in which not only have we been fortunate to share with you new ideas, thoughts, and scholarship, but you have in turn enriched our community and our scholarship. I also want to take this opportunity to thank our student leadership, Amin Omar, Fatma Shaukat, and the entire Student Council team, as well as other student leaders outside the Council. Your roles were critical in navigating these uncertain times with confidence and dedication, and effort has been invaluable throughout. You leave big shoes to be filled for our incoming Student Council. But from what I have seen in their short term so far, your legacy will remain strong. I realize this is a unique opportunity to address our student body, and my message to all remains the same, because this lesson is truly timeless. Living a life driven by our values. We measure our actions by the values we have chosen to live by. It is a standard I try myself to live by every single day. Today, I share one of my favorites, the value of integrity. Integrity determines how we engage with ourselves, the people around us, and the wider world. What are we trying to achieve? Are we utilizing our potential to do a little good in the world? Can we do more? Are we showing integrity to our God-given duty as a fellow human being? I urge you all, whether you are a student who are continuing with us into the next year, or whether you are journeying onwards along new roads, to commit to being everything that you do with utmost integrity. In the disorder of our times, and considering all the different ways our attention is diverted, our integrity determines our focus, time, and energy that we devote to the task at hand. It is not very easy to do, but it is in fact a 21st century skill to be able to dedicate your attention in an accountable manner. The greatest of all skills are often the most challenging to learn, but one that produces the most powerful effect on the way we live and the change we affect the world around us. I will stop here with some closing messages. I must thank all our faculty and staff, each and every one, for their continued support and commitment throughout this year. I know that remote working has blended our professional and personal spaces significantly, which comes with its own adjustments. It's not without your sincere efforts that we have been able to see this day, where we get to appreciate the academic achievements of our students. I thank the team that helped to organize this event, to allow us all to come together on a unified virtual platform. I would like to sincerely thank our keynote speaker today, Professor Ziauddin Sardar. It is an honor to host you, and I'm genuinely looking forward to benefiting from your words as much as our students and the CIS community. Thank you for taking out the time to lend us your wisdom. Lastly, I'm truly heartened to address you all. Congratulations to all the students who secured their place on the Dean's Honor List. Congratulations to our class of 2021. We are thrilled to see you worthy ambassadors of our university. And congratulations to all for completing a wonderful and productive academic year. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, perfect. Great. Thank you very much. And I apologize for that. So Professor Sardar, he has worked as a science journalist, as a reporter for London Weekend Television and Channel 4, and has made numerous television and radio programs. He's a former columnist on the New Statesman, editor of Futures, the monthly journal of foresight and future studies, and has served as a commissioner on the Equality and Human Rights Commission from 2006 to 2009. Professor Sardar is a very well-known futurist and public intellectual. And he's developed the concept of post-normal times and now devotes most of his energies expanding and promoting it. As you may get an inkling from this bio, these are indeed post-normal times and indeed demand groundbreaking approaches as a Muslim in the way we understand the futures. Thank you so much, Professor Sardar, once again, and please, the floor is yours. Perfectly. Thank you so much.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum to everybody. I believe congratulations are in order. Congratulations to all the students who have completed their degrees, but also I would argue that congratulations are due to all the faculty and staff who have worked so hard to bring them to that particular point where we can actually celebrate their graduations. But I like to point out to the students that this is not necessarily the end of your education. In fact, it's a beginning of a great intellectual adventure. Now, the dean already talked about integrity, accountability, and pointed out that these are uncertain times. So the students you are going to have some great challenges that you will have to face in the coming years. So what I would like to emphasize is 5 kinds of awareness that you need to kind of face these challenges. And I would argue that you should make these awarenesses an integral part of your lives. So let me begin with the awareness 1. The future belongs to you. You are young, and the future lies in front of you. In fact, most of you will live for another 60 years. It's a pretty long time, inshallah. And you're not alone. Around 30% of the population of the Muslim world is under 29. So you have lots of colleagues and friends around you. Now, in general, we seldom really appreciate youth as a resource. But I think it is a resource that we undervalue at our own peril, and we just cannot afford to ignore it. But being young has another advantage, and that is that you have the ability to change the world. Now, you may not know this, but a single generation can, in fact, change the world. And we learned this a long time ago from the 14th century Muslim scholar Ibn Khaldun, who first introduced the cyclic notion of history. Ibn Khaldun argued that history moves in four generations. The first generation produces ideas and resources. The second generation adds a little bit to these ideas and resources and prospers from it. The third generation doesn't add much, and in fact ends up using most of the resources. And the fourth generation then finds itself in a state of decline. So the cycle repeats itself. We also learned this from the life of the Prophet Muhammad. You notice that in a single generation, he was a prophet for 21 years. He transformed Saudi Arabia, or transformed the society of his time. So more recently, the Moroccan scholar Malik bin Nabi also pointed that out. So a generation is about 20 years, roughly. So I would argue, students, that time is on your side. You have 3 generations available to you to change the world. And that's some responsibility. Awareness 2, I think this has already pointed out by the Dean, that the world is in a total mess. The world in general, the Muslim world in particular, and the planet as a whole face some very serious problems. And some would argue that these are existential problems. And the world is changing rapidly. So one of the first things to appreciate that in the contemporary world, speed is of the essence. Things move very, very fast. The pandemic moved very, very fast. The financial crisis moved very, very fast. In general, speed is what is shaping us. But things don't only happen very fast, they tend also to be global. So things move fast and they tend to be global, and they have impact. The scale goes down right to the individual. So the scale is very, very important. But also there's one other thing. So we need to appreciate the 3 S's: speed, scope, and scale of things, but also simultaneity, that things happen simultaneously. So these 4 S's you need to keep in mind. And it was the former UN General Secretary Ban Ki-moon who pointed out. He was talking about crisis, and he was saying we are facing this crisis, that crisis, food crisis, energy crisis, climate crisis. And he said that it is not that we have not faced crises in the past, but what is unique to our period is that these crises tend to come simultaneously. So things happen simultaneously. And if you think of
someone is at the front door.
If you think of the pandemic, see how rapidly it spread. It became global very, very quickly, and it impacted on the lives of the individual. Right? I mean, every individual has been touched by the pandemic, whether they actually got the virus or not. But then it also had economic consequences. It also had international transport consequences. So it was not just health. Number of problems came about with that. Now, if you have speed, scope, scale, and simultaneity, there's one other thing, there's a number of other things that happen. One is that the world becomes very interconnected. And an interconnected world with so many moving variables, and becomes complex. Everything now, everywhere we look, everything we see is complex. All our problems are complex. Problems of governance are very complex. The problems of health are very complex. And when I'm talking about complexity, I'm talking about interconnected things with variables that change that we cannot often control. And when you have a very complex situation like that, with the speed and scope and scale and simultaneity, the things become contradictory. There's a lot of contradiction. The world is full of contradictions. And when I say contradictions, I don't simply mean differences of opinion. I also mean logical contradictions. For example, you look at China, which is supposed to be a communist country, but it has a kind of very strong, almost naked capitalist system. Right? The European Union was actually established on the basis that there will be no fascism in the world. Yet almost 1/3 members of the European Parliament belong to the far right parties. So there's some very deep contradictions in the world. And when you have complexity and contradictions, you have positive feedback. Things multiply at geometric scale, and therefore you have chaos. So we need to pay attention to complexity, contradictions, and chaos, which are the basic features of what I describe as post-normal times. And what is meant by post-normal is that what we took for granted as normal just does not hold anymore. The dominant paradigms of economics, political behavior, and so on and so forth, just are not working in a sense. So post-normal times is essentially an in-between period where the old orthodoxies, the old paradigms are dying, but the new ones have not actually emerged. So we are kind of hanging in between the no longer and the not yet. So you have to be aware of post-normal times, but you also have to be aware that post-normal times offers some unique opportunities. If the old paradigms are dying and the new ones have not been born, then you can contribute to the creation of new paradigms. Basically, what I'm saying is that you can contribute to the creation of new ways of knowing, new ways of being, and new ways of doing. That's a phenomenal opportunity that lies on your shoulder. So I want you to be aware of this opportunity. Then awareness 3 is that post-normal times has also thrown up certain specific challenges for Muslim societies. And you will have to grapple with those challenges in the coming years. Next 5 years, 10 years, 15, maximum 20 years, we'll face most of these consequences of what is happening today. Consider, for example, just 2 or 3 consequences of climate change. We are experiencing colossal temperature rises. So last year, the temperature in Karachi was 49 degrees, and I think 900 or 1,000 people died. Right. But temperature in Baghdad was 51.8 degrees. And in Rafah in Saudi Arabia, it was 50.8. And in Karbala, 52.3. These are inhuman temperatures. We need to find a solution to rising temperatures. And there will be other consequences of this, which I will talk about shortly. One consequence of this, of course, is water shortage. Right? We know certain cities have already run out of water. A couple of years ago, Johannesburg ran out of fresh water, and it became a big story. Even cities like Istanbul could run out of water in the next 10 years, and it's very difficult for us to imagine. The Nile could dry up. That will have phenomenal consequences for all those countries that rely on water from the Nile. But at the same time, the sea level is rising, and certain cities and countries are drowning. Jakarta is drowning, so they have to move the city. In fact, I think within the next 5-6 years, the capital of Indonesia will be moved to Borneo, and Jakarta will no longer be capital of Borneo. Think of the effect of sea level rises on the Bangladeshi community, the delta there, that how much chaos that will cause. You may even have seen photographs of the Maldives cabinet having a meeting, but they're having a meeting under the ocean. If you haven't seen this photograph, I recommend that you search for it and dig it out. They're having to emphasize the fact that the Maldives is sinking. Now, what will happen to all the people who live in Maldives when Maldives disappear? Or when the floodplains of Bangladesh are saturated? Or when the temperature rises become inhuman? So we're going to get a very steep rise on environmental refugees. At this moment, 2 out of 3 refugees in the world are Muslim. In the next 10 to 15 years, 4 out of 5 refugees in the world will be Muslim. And many of these refugees will be environmental refugees. What are we going to do about them? What are you going to do about them? Because the future is in front of you. The future belongs to you. But there are also other things within the Muslim Ummah that requires urgent attention. We are at the top of every ranking in the world when it comes to illiteracy, when it comes to lack of creativity, and when it comes to corruption. The Dean talked about integrity. How do we ensure that integrity is the dominant theme within Muslim societies? So you have to be aware of the challenges that the Muslim societies will experience in the coming decades. You cannot go around turning your eyes away from these challenges. So, awareness 4. You may think that there is no hope given the climate crisis, some of the challenges I have described, but you'll be wrong. I want you to be aware that there is always hope. And most of this hope comes from our own faith. In Islam, hopelessness, despair, nihilism is forbidden. It is haram. In fact, that is the function of faith, trust in God. So our hope always comes from trust in God, because that's what our faith teaches us. That's what faith is all about. So we are never without hope. But I would also like you to be aware of the fact that exploring and studying the future is an imperative in Islam. A great deal of our hope actually comes from being awareness of the problems we are going to face in the future and then trying to do something about it. Now, I'm not going to go in great detail. I'm just going to quote a couple of verses from the Quran and a couple of hadiths to give you an idea of how the future is very, very important in Islam. So in 59:18, the Quran tells us, "You who believe, be mindful of God and let every soul consider carefully what it sends ahead for tomorrow. Now, the tomorrow could, of course, be hereafter, but there are all that future between now and the hereafter that we need to consider. So basically, the Quran is asking us to pay attention to the future generation. And in 1978, we read, God asks, did he look into the future, or did he receive a promise from the most merciful? In fact, both of these are important. We have received the promise from the most merciful of trust. That's where our trust comes from. But we also have to look into the future. There are a couple of beautiful hadiths from the Prophet. The one that I love is trust in God, but tie your camel. You know, the tying of the camel is the action that ensures that when you come back after your journey, the camel is still there. Right. That's the future-oriented. That's the future-oriented action. Yes. The Prophet also said, the destruction of my followers will be done by ignorance and limited vision. Visions are very, very important. And visions are all about the future. They are not about the past as such. And another hadith, the Prophet said that if you think the world is going to end tomorrow and you have a seed planted, what could be more profoundly future-oriented than that simple hadith? Right? Even if you think the world is ending tomorrow and you have a seed planted. Yeah. Now, there is a whole history of future thought within Islam. The reason we don't know much about it is that we seldom study it. We seldom approach the Quran, for example, from a future perspective. We are a historic people, and we do pay attention to history, and we should pay attention to history. As the Quran tells you, look behind you, but also look in front of you. So we also need to look in front of us. So I would argue that as Muslims, you have to take your own futures very seriously, but also the futures of communities and the Ummah and the planet and the world as a whole, because we are now interconnected, interdependent. What happens in the one part of the world has an impact on another part of the world. So you have to think in a very collective fashion. Now, people could say that I can be a very good Muslim simply by devoting my time to the rituals and worrying about my own little things. And I would argue that if you just simply do that and do not pay enough attention to future thought, to future planning, to working about the future, then you are going to end up in a colonized future. If you do not think and shape your own future, then others will do it for you. We tend to think of colonization as something that has only happened in history. But colonization can also happen in the future, in the sense that the future itself is colonized. So if you want to have a independent and free and viable future for yourself, you have to think carefully. You have to think very carefully where the world is taking you and where you actually want to go, where the world is taking you. Which brings me to my last awareness, awareness 5. See, if you have hope, then you have agency. You are not powerless. Yeah. You can, in fact, shape your own future, despite all the uncertainty that we face. Of course, some of this agency comes from our faith. This is the question about trust in God, and being hopeful. But there are other things that give you agency. Now, the first word of the revelation is read. Read in the name of God. And I would regard that as a general instruction within Islamic worldview. So agency comes from reading, and you have to read everything. Our intellectual tradition is absolutely phenomenal. It's exceptionally rich and varied. So you have to read all our great thinkers, Ibn Khaldun, Ibn Haytham, Ibn Rushd, Al-Farabi, all the great philosophers and thinkers, Sufis, secularists, even atheists, great poets, many of them who are atheists in our culture. You have to read and read widely, and you have to read Islamic history. And you have to have the ability also to read the signs of emerging issues that are over the horizon. But the Quran does not ask us to do blind reading. It has to be a critical reading. And critical reading becomes even more important in contemporary times because it is not easy to discern truth from falsehood, from fake news, from alternative facts, from post-truth nonsense that is out there. So it's not just that you have to read, but you have to read critically. And reading here does not simply means picking up a piece of, picking up something and just reading it. I'm talking about reading as a general mode of inquiry, that you read everything. And it is through critical engagement and critical inquiry that you can learn to navigate the uncertain times that we face today. So this is awareness 5. So I would like you to be aware of the 5 things that I've pointed out. So I will say once again, congratulations in order. But let this occasion also be a celebration of awareness. Awareness of the challenges that are in front of you, awareness of the post-normal nature of contemporary times, awareness of the great intellectual history of Islam, awareness that futures literacy is very, very important, and awareness that you have agency, that you are not hopeless. You can, in fact, do something about all the challenges that we face. As I said, the future belongs to you. So congratulations. Congratulations on graduation. Congratulations on being young. And congratulations about being aware that you can change the future to become and create a more just, viable, and sustainable world. As the Quran tells us in 7:1-8, the happy future belongs to those who are mindful, that is to say, aware, and read the signs on the horizon. So, students, go out and change the world and make us proud. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much, Professor Sardar. We are so grateful for having you join us today and share these incredible opportunities for reflection, for your thoughts on post-normal ideas and futures studies. These are extremely important concepts as we continue forward. Thank you so very much for the honor. We will now move into our first half of the appreciation part of the event with the Dean's Honor List, which was launched in fall of 2019. And it's granted to students who have completed 18 credits in an academic year and achieved a cumulative GPA of 3.8 or higher. It's our absolute pleasure to welcome Dr. Dalal Asuli, Associate Dean of Academic Affairs and the Assistant Professor of Islamic Finance, to please present the Dean's Honor List. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, everyone. And welcome to all our students and my distinguished colleagues and our distinguished guest, Dr. Sardar, for the very insightful speech. It gives me great pleasure to announce the Dean's Honor List for this year. And we'll start with the MA in Contemporary Islamic Studies. Congratulations, Ahmed Abdul Kadir, Muhammad Asaf. For the MA in Applied Islamic Ethics, congratulations, Rasha Badr. For the MSc in Islamic Art, Architecture and Urbanism, congratulations to Yusuf Al-Hamadi and Banan Al-Kilani. For the MA in Islam and Global Affairs, congratulations to Noura Al-Musallam, Dana Ismail, Mukhtar Sani, Laura Sani, Sabika Shaban, and Mansour Tursunov. For the MSc in Islamic Finance, congratulations to Zainab Olulagaba and Muhammad Zubair. And for the PhD in Islamic Finance and Economy, congratulations to Jamila Abubakar, Zamal Nanayeva, and Fatima Abdurrabbu. Congratulations to all the students for their great achievements this year.
Thank you, Dr. Dalal, for sharing that, and congratulations to everybody who managed to secure the Dean's Honor List. Moving on, I do have the pleasure of calling on Laura Sani, a student of Islam and Global Affairs who has recently been nominated as the president of the CIS Student Council for the new academic year. Laura has a background in Islamic studies with a concentration on tafsir. She serves as a youth leader for Bridges, Eastern European Forum for Dialogue, an NGO based in Bulgaria, which she calls home. It involves working with refugees and Muslim ethnic minorities in the field of peace building and inclusion. Her research interests span Islamophobia, radicalization, coloniality, neoliberalism, European Muslim minorities, and Islamic peace building. Laura, welcome.
Thank you so much, Sarika. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. To His Excellency the Dean Dr. Shaheen, Honorable Professor Sardar, esteemed faculty, distinguished academic staff, and invited guests present in this virtual ceremony, and most of all, to the class of 2021. I'm humbled to speak on behalf of the current student body, a Student Council President of the College of Islamic Studies, and congratulate you on your graduation. Well done, you made it. You were brave enough to overcome the difficulties associated with the abrupt transition to the digital environment after only few months of in-person lectures as first-year graduate students. You were the ones who first discovered that network connectivity is not only vital for the successful uploading process of TikTok videos, but it's also necessary for connecting with your neighbor next door and exceptionally important for showing up in class on time. You dedicated sleepless nights and restless days in order to live up to the expectations of your professors and for personal gratification. You endured 2 long years separated from the dearest to your hearts. You, by Allah's grace, prove stronger than the challenges COVID-19 brought with itself. As many throughout the world lost their lives and loved ones. You had the courage to pursue your academic and professional dreams amidst a pandemic, worsening climate conditions, and social unrest due to the perpetuality of racial injustice. You kept your cool during the first summer break here in Qatar, when returning back home was not a valid option. You sacrificed the time with your friends, family, and relatives for this very moment. On this day, we would like to celebrate you. Nevertheless, I urge you not to render May 2nd, 5th, or 24th either the beginning of your professional career or the end of your academic journey. It is just a point in time. Every day we open our eyes, we are offered a chance to chase after our dreams. Every day we turn on the computer to join in a class, conference, or workshop. We're given the opportunity to upgrade our skill set, learn something new, or unite with our fellow peers to debate or discuss an issue pertaining to the shared human history. Every day we set out to commute by the education city transport or on foot to the student center. We remind ourselves that our path cannot be always straightforward. We will have to take U-turns of commotion, observe signs we never understand the meaning of, but we are sure that it giving us essential information and instruction along the way. Come across bumps we have the inner desire to curse out, but still refrain from such things as we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching. Every day when we start preparing for an assignment or a test, we should remember that the ultimate test is not to take place in the limited spatial realm of this dunya. Every day when we wait for the Lulu shuttle to come so we can do our weekly shopping, it should occur to us that the items we purchase will only suffice our hunger for a limited time, but not alleviate the anxiety or stress connected with impending submission deadlines. All these types of experience are invaluable points in time. Dots, they are linked to one another to produce the overall adventure you are immersed in with your very acceptance as HBKU students. The memories you created, the friendships that emerged therein, the academics you conversed with, the tears that didn't seem to dry, the sweat that perspires on gym floors and outdoor fields throughout your education city, the articles and theses you composed are the very imprint with which your presence here in Qatar and Qatar Foundation will never be forgotten. Soon as you receive your well-earned degrees and perhaps leave the country, I ask you never to look back with remorse, but use this recollection to embolden yourselves and seek success in your future endeavors. To conclude with and bring an end to my speech, I would like to give you additional pieces of advice inspired by some of the publicly announced thesis topics. First of all, try to fulfill your awwalul wajibat so that you derive true happiness from everything you do in the dunya. Don't let the Islamophobic industry erode even a single bit of pride you take as a Muslim. Strive to be persistent with everything you undertake, just as an elite sports person. Never lose confidence in your skills with the bad thought of being replaced by a robo-advisor or other artificial intelligence technology. Be bold and out there, just like a person who has a membership in Minder. Practice self-care with halal products. Be extremely careful not to end up at the wrong side of the sirat as you make decisions for your future. Show utmost responsibility and commit to preserve the environment, as living on Mars, Jupiter, or Venus is not yet a feasible alternative. Last but not least, aspire to be future change makers and leaders through social and entrepreneurship so you can give back to your respective communities. Thank you so much for the attention. Jazakumullahu khair. I wish you all the best, class of 2021. Bitawfiq. Assalamu alaikum.
See you next.
Thank you, Laura, for that incredible address. I would like to call on our speaker on behalf of the class of 2021, Talal Zabian. Talal is graduating with a master's in Islamic finance with a concentration in corporate finance and asset management. He recently completed his thesis on ESG impact on financial performance, evidence from the S&P 500, which indicates his research interests in ethical investing, ESG, which is environmental, social, and governance, and sustainable development. Talal is a CFA holder with 10 years of market experience in banking, investments, and financial advisory. He left the industry at the end of 2018 to pursue academia and was also a member of the HBKU CIS team that recently participated in the Qatar Stock Exchange Financial Education Competition, securing third place. Congratulations. And Talal, the floor is yours.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Ramadan Mubarak to all of you. It's a great honor to be here today to represent the class of 2021. I would like to thank my beloved professors who nominated me for such a privilege. And I would like to thank all the attendees who joined us today to celebrate this special day, especially with the high achievers on the Dean's List, as well as for the upcoming graduates. I know it's been a very tough period for all of us during COVID. We all had to balance between study, we had to balance between family, study, and work, especially while fighting to find a space to hide and be productive and get work done. For me personally, I was having difficulty trying to focus during the remote classes while also babysitting. And yet with every challenge, we adapt, we appreciate even the small things in life and that we sometimes take for granted. So I'm not gonna take a lot of time today. I'm just gonna break my speech into 3 areas. First one is I'm gonna just share my story. Thanks, Sister Sabika, for introducing me. But there's a part of my story that I would like to share with the upcoming graduates. And also I'd like to talk about HBKU, things that I love, things that I wish could be improved, and finally give a small word of advice. So for all of those who do not know me, my name is Talal. I am from Lebanon and I've lived all my life in the Gulf. I've earned my bachelor's degree in American University of Sharjah in finance and accounting, and have been living here in Qatar since 2011. As Sister Sabika said, I have around 10 years of market experience in different fields in asset management, financial advisory, as well as Islamic banking. However, unlike the majority of students and soon-to-be graduates who are hoping to jump into the market, I'm actually transitioning out of it with the aim to go into academia. And this decision came after I realized my passion for teaching. However, as humans, we have a deep fear to take critical decisions on our lives. And I was very afraid to basically leave the job market. The opportunity cost was too high, especially after I got married and I had a family with 2 little daughters. However, in 2018, with the downturn in the market, I lost my job. And suddenly, all of the fear was gone. I had nothing else to lose. And so I decided to work on my passion, and I started a small tutoring venture. I called it FinTutor, and I have been teaching finance, accounting, and other business courses. And alhamdulillah, I mean, in 2 years, I was able to fully replace my income. I've successfully taught more than 50 students at different levels, including bachelor's, master's, and even at the CFA level. And alhamdulillah, I'm enjoying the perks of not having a boss, and as well as working anytime I want to. Many employees would know the meaning of not having a boss and having the freedom of working whenever they want to. So the reason I'm sharing my story is that sometimes life can be extremely tough. Okay, you might be put in situations when you have to reassess yourself. You need to make critical decisions in your life. So my advice is not to give up. Don't be afraid to lose what you have. Try to think outside the box, and don't be afraid to explore your passion. Always have faith that Allah will open doors to whoever is truthful in their intentions and in their doings. Now, for the things that I love about CIS, I actually enjoyed every single day I spent on campus. I miss even the small things, including, the cup of cappuccino that I always purchase before I head into the class, to the discussions with my, fellow classmates and my beloved professors. Yet the 5 most important things that I love include, and I wrote some notes here. Student diversity. So mainly, even though that we have a small number of students within our classes were very diverse. We had students from all over the places. We had students from Egypt, Sudan, India, Pakistan, Qatar, as well as other countries. And this is something that is very unique at CIS, and I really enjoyed it. Class interaction is top-notch. Okay, the small class size allows us to basically better interact with our professors and are always engaged with new ideas and new discussions. Another positive point is the engagement opportunities, such as the conferences that are always, brought to students, events, competitions like the CFA and the Qatar Stock Exchange competition that I recently took part in. Fourth point is that the quality of teaching was much better than I expected. Okay, especially with regards to Sharia classes. And here I would like to send my special thanks to Dr. Abdulazim. I'm not sure if he's attending today, who is truly a huge asset to HBKU. And I don't think this is just my opinion, but the majority of attendees would confirm what I'm saying. Personally, I've learned from Dr. Abdulazim more than I've learned in 2 years of my life working in 2 Islamic banks, Qatar Islamic Bank and Abu Dhabi Islamic Bank. Finally, the problems at HBKU are very successful. I came into HBKU planning to study masters and acquire the skill of research, which I lacked. Again, I'm coming from the industry. And alhamdulillah, I believe that I successfully achieved and acquired the skill. And I think that the class of 2021 would also confirm to that as well. Now, for the areas of improvement, it's not much, okay? Some of the areas include the need for flexibility, okay? And here I'm talking about the master's program, in which students usually prefer to have more elective courses to select from. Maybe some students from the arts would like to study some courses in Islamic finance and vice versa. The course structure should also be more focused on real-life problems, group projects, and literature rather than quizzes, assignments, and exams. Again, this is a graduate program, and I believe that at the graduate level, some little improvements could improve the life of students and graduates. Third point is the mandatory attendance policy. Again, many students, including me and others that I know, have work commitments, and a mandatory attendance policy that is graded and is part of the overall grade is maybe less suitable at the graduate level. And finally, I mean, accreditation is something that is extremely important. And I know this is going to be taking a lot of time, but definitely we're all looking forward to getting our degrees accredited so that, you know, we get the highest possible value in the industry and everywhere else. Now, for my advice for the current and future students, I would like to give 3 recommendations. Number 1 is to invest in yourself. And there is a quote by Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors at all time. He said that by far the best investment you can make is in yourself. So if the greatest investor is saying to invest in yourself, this is where you should put your focus. Number 2 is that relations are extremely important. They are everything. And for all of those graduates who are going to go into the industry, they're going to understand the value of relationships. So make sure that you maintain and you grow your relationships and capitalize on those relationships as well. You never know when you're going to need people who were your, for example, fellow classmates, your professors, or vice versa, they might need you as well. And in the end, as humans, we are part of the society and we need to make sure that we're there for each other. The third point that I would recommend is to make sure to get a habit of saving and investing. Okay, I'm a true believer in saving and investing. At least save 10% of your income and invest it. And I'm just going to give you a small example. If you save only 1,000 riyals per month for the next 30 years, and I'm assuming that the majority of students here and graduates have around 25 to 30 years until they retire. If you save 1,000 for 30 years at 8% interest, and I wouldn't say interest, it could be a return, your portfolio value would be around 1.49, 1.5 million riyals, okay, rather than 360,000. Okay, so think about it. So on behalf of CIS students, I would like to thank our dean, our keynote speaker, our event moderator, Sister Sabika, our beloved professors, our program coordinator, academic support team, the library team, the financial team, and everybody who contributed to this special event. I hope I didn't forget anybody. Congratulations to all of the high achievers on the Dean's List and to all the students who are graduating with me this year, and good luck to the future graduates. Thank you all.
Thank you so very much, Talal, for that address and also for the financial advice. I'm sure you're going to get a lot of emails after this. It's also perfect.
I wish I met him 35 years ago. I would have been a millionaire now.
Inshallah, it's never too late. There's always hope. It's also actually a perfect segue into celebrating your own achievement alongside your peers in the grand finale of this event, in which we recognize our class of 2021. To start us off, I'd like to welcome Dr. Gavin Picken, Professor and Program Coordinator of the Master's Program in Islamic Studies, to present his cohort.
Good afternoon, everyone. Honorable guests, respected colleagues, and dear students. It's my great pleasure to present to you the graduates of the class of 2021 for the MA in Islamic Studies. In the concentration Contemporary Quranic Studies, we have Sohabat al-Faraj, Abdul Ahad Low, Noor Nababta, Asma Yusuf, Hayla al-Kurbi, Angi Az-Zuhri, and Inam Abu Hilal. In the concentration of contemporary fiqh, we have Umar Bil'idi, Muhammad Qitas, Zahra Hazrati, Abdurrahman Suleiman. And in comparative religions, Ishaqa Abdul Latif, Imra Kabiruddin, Sophia Laubai Ludong, Paula Moraes, and Adam Alowo. In Islamic civilizations and societies, we have Dar al-Ma'arif, Uwais Karatiyatal, Amin Umar, Nuruddin Patisserie, and in Islamic thought and applied ethics, Khalid al-Zamzami and Hanim al-Utaybi.
Thank you so very much, Dr. Gavin. May I please request Dr. Mu'taz Al-Khatib, Associate Professor for Methodology and Ethics and Program Coordinator for the Master's Program in Applied Islamic Ethics, to present his cohort.
Thank you very much, Sabika. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Congratulations. It is my pleasure to be here today, congratulating our students in the Applied Islamic Ethics program who have been studying with us for 2 years or more. It has surely been an enriching experience for the students who graduate today, and surely for us as professors as well. I would like to announce that the following names: Muhammad Yusuf Al-Munshi, Muhammad Askari, Famad Daing, Naima Halim, Muhammad Fatih Muhammad, Sharaq Omar. Wholehearted congratulations for each of you, and looking forward to hearing from you about how you advance further in your future career. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mu'taz. I'd like to call on Dr. Evren Took, Assistant Dean for Innovation and Community Engagement and Associate Professor and Program Coordinator for the Master's Program in Islam and Global Affairs, to please present his cohort.
Thank you so much, there, Sabika, and congratulations to the class of 2021, and also the students who who graduated in between, but who are included in this cohort. Special congratulations and special thanks also for being our students. You have accomplished a lot, and we are so honored to have you, and we believe that your experience will open up new doors and opportunities for you in your future endeavors. So without further ado, the names of the students who graduated as part of the class of 2021 are as follows: Aisha Abdurazak Al-Kuwari, Haya Isa Al-Kuwari, Noura Khalil Al-Ziyara, Esra Ali Said Ali, Souza Al-Salai, Hayrunisa Hussein, Rayhan Al-Jusub, Natalia Lukova, Nasser Abdul Sharif. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Evren. Please welcome Dr. Tariq Swalam, Associate Professor of Islamic Art and Architecture and the Program Coordinator for the Master of Science in Islamic Art, Architecture, and Urbanism, to please introduce this program graduates.
Can you unmute, please? Unmute yourself, please.
Efforts in this, my colleagues, students, Dr. Ahmad, Ziauddin Sardar, and wonderful speech. Thank you. Mabruk to Dr. Dalal. We also miss Dr. Ramah today. And I would like to say one thing, and that is Dr. Ziauddin said, advise the students to read, read, read. and read. To learn, I would like to add read and travel, travel and travel and understand other cultures. And when I mean travel, I don't mean going to Harrods, but I mean to going to exotic places and learn. The students who have finally graduated, alhamdulillah, I have a great honor and pleasure to announce their names. And these are as follows: Samiha Abdul Samad, Dana Ahmed, Hanan Amr, Ghulam Fiaz, Sara Al Khalifa, Noor Al Kharan, Kalsam Al Kuwari, Sheikh Al Manai, Maha Mubarak, and Fatma Shaukat. Congratulations to all of you. I'm very proud of you. So as everyone on this panel, I advise you to take good care of yourselves, good care of your groups, take good care of your families, be good to your countries, and be good people, and get lots and lots of children. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tariq, for your usual, very unusual advice. Lastly, please welcome Dr. Dalal Arsouli, Assistant Professor of Islamic Finance, to please present her graduating cohort.
Thank you, Sabika, and congratulations to all the graduating students in class of 2021. If you can display the list of students, Sabika. Yes, so congratulations again to all of our students. Actually, they are graduating this year, but some of them have also successfully participated in industry competitions like the Qatar Stock Exchange competition, where they won the 3rd place nationally, and then the CFA competition, where they were the 2nd place nationally. So congratulations all of them for all their efforts in also well representing the college and the program in the industry also locally. So let me take this opportunity to congratulate Qasim Muhammad Abdi, Nasir Salim Ubaid Al-Abri, Zamzam Ali Tobi, Raid Hasiba, Kamil Abdu Umar, Maria Rahim, Faisal Sheikh, Muhammad Umar, and Talal Zabian. Congratulations for all your hard work and achievements.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dalal. And with that, we come to an end of our appreciation ceremony. A huge mabruk to our recipients of the Dean's Honor List, and a congratulations shout out to our class of 2021. You've made it. I will also extend the college's heartfelt congratulations. Thanks once again to Professor Sardar for inspiring us today. Thank you to our dean and all the professors and students who took the virtual floor, and to all our attendees for tuning in. Above all, a big note of thank you and virtual applause for our admin team, Rawan and Mona, under the guidance of Dr. Mawahib, and the academic support unit, especially Ms. Iman for her instrumental support for this event. Thank you so much, everyone, and Eid Mubarak in advance, and have a safe time with you and your family. Thank you very, very much.